So good day, everyone. So have you ever been to a very religious civilization? If no, if yes, we welcome you to ancient Hebrew civilization. So where does the word Hebrew came from? So Hebrew came from the Hebrew word Ibri, which basically means people who pass over or people from the other side. So during this time, people live with nomadic lifestyle. That is why they are considered to be a nomadic tribe, okay? And they came from southern Mesopotamia, specifically of Abraham's clan, okay, who settled themselves in Palestine. So Palestine is known as the land of Canaan, okay? So during this time, um, Abraham was considered to be the first Hebrew. Okay, so Abraham lived in Samaria in the city of Erk together with his family, with his wife Sarah. Okay, so Hebrews were also called as Israelites. All right. So during this time, the Hebrews they have three kings: Saul, David, and Solomon. And by the leadership of these three kings, the Israelites built a kingdom around 1000 BC. However, okay, the Hebrews, okay, later became slaves in Egypt. But, okay, there comes a religious leader named Moses. So, Moses brought back the Israelites to the land of Canaan. And for 40 years, the Hebrews wandered in the Sinai Desert. And doon na-receive ni Moses yung iba't ibang laws, okay, including the Ten Commandments. Okay, so that is just a short background about the Hebrew civilization. Now let's move on to their society. So in their society, it is centered in their religion, is Judaism. Okay, so the nucleus of the Hebrew society or the center of the society is the family. It's the same in today's modern society, in this modern civilization. Okay, in our society, the smallest, the basic, but the most important part of our society is our family. It's the same in the Hebrews, okay? And we call that patriarchal. When we say patriarchal, the father has the highest authority among the members of the family. Okay? Slaves also existed. Okay? So, ang mga slaves during this time, they are being brought or nabibili sila, okay? Or nanggagaling sila sa mga a war. They are prisoners from war and they become slaves during this time. Okay, so in their time as nomads, the Hebrews lived in tents with little furniture. So, before pa sila nagkaroon ng mga stone house surrounded with gardens and iba't ibang settlements. It's just, kumbaga here in the Philippines, yung mga sinaunang tao, hindi rin naman agad sila nagkaroon ng sementadong bahay or stone house. They also started from bamboos or yung mga bahay kubo, ganun. It's the same in the Hebrews before nagkaroon ngayon ng development. Okay, so the Hebrews established in Palestine, okay, ayan, so they dedicated themselves to agriculture and raising livestock. Okay, so most of their crops are olives, grapevines, legumes, and lentils. They also do shepherding, okay? Nag-aalaga din sila ng mga sheep, oxen, goats, horses, camels, accompanied their agricultural activity. Okay, next one is they also worked in ceramics and made numerous textiles like the wool, the linen, and the most important is the commerce. So commerce also is one of the most important economic activity. They export oil, wine, imported metals, ivory, and spices. Okay, so Next one is how about the education during ancient Israel? So again, the education of the ancient Israel is centered on their religion. So they have what we call Beth Hasifar or Hedar. Okay, so their community is being maintained by the elementary school. Okay, and their the elementary education always starts in the age of 6, okay? And a school for boys from ages 15 to 17 was also established as the time goes by. Okay, and if you want to further your education or to learn more, you have to enter the rabbinic education. So rabbinic education, okay, rabbinic pertaining to the Jewish religious leader, okay, or the rabbi, okay? They provide a deeper education to those who wants to learn more. In addition, it was also mandated by their law that inside the house the parents must teach their students. That is why the father, okay, must teach the son, okay, not only the Torah but as well the trading or pangkabuhayan. Okay, next one, the mother will be the one to teach the daughter, okay, about the responsibility as a mother, as a woman inside the house. Okay, let's move on to their social organization. We have the patriarchy. So patriarchy again, okay, it states that this the Hebrew society, okay, the highest is the center of their society is the family, and the highest in the family is the father. Okay, kasi noon nabuhay ang mga Hebrews so in a family groups or clans directed by the oldest. Kaya malaki talaga ang respeto nila sa mga pinakamatanda in a group. Okay. Next one, we have the monarchy. So when we say the monarchy government, it is a type of government wherein it is ruled by a royal family and the position is namamana, okay, based dun sa clan nila, sa organization ng clan nila. Okay? Ayan. Next one, we have the social structure. Okay, so this is the social structure of the Hebrew society. So when we say, okay, so when we say social structure, this is the position of every person, of every group, kung saan sila nabibilang in the society. Yung kanina naman, yung social organization, it is the obligation of the chosen people or the chosen leaders. Gets the difference? Okay. So, the highest in the social structure of the Hebrew society is the men of rank and the influencers, which are the kings, the civil officers, military, and etc. Next one is we have the citizens, the farmers, herders, artisans, and the like. Makikita niyo po yan sa PowerPoint natin. So unlike dun sa mga naunang na-discuss na civilizations, sometimes the farmers nasa pinakamababa sila, not in the middle class but in the lower class. Pero dito nasa middle class sila because farmers are very important during the Hebrew society, during the Hebrew civilization. And of course, ang pinakamababa sa kanila is the slaves. So this is the example of a king during this time. So a king rules everything, okay? But aside sa king, there are also rabbis. Rabbis preach in synagogues. This led for a pretty balanced economy in their society. We also have the officials, the military, and civil officers. Okay, next one, we also have this ones, the farmers. So in here, the men work while the women stayed home and collected water from wells, ground grain, made cheese, and butter. And they also do tahi-tahi, the linen garments, that's Jai. Okay, besides this, the Hebrews had many foods they could use, such as lentils, grapes, olives, because Hebrews, mayaman sila pagdating sa agrikultura. Okay, next one, we have the slaves. So, the slaves during this time has to work for 7 years before they will be freed, before sila makalaya. Okay, next one. We have the cultures and religion of the ancient Hebrews.
Religions of the ancient Hebrews. The majority of their literary works was organized and compiled. In the ancient Hebrews, they valued music very much and employed it in the religious ceremonies. They valued music because in the Bible there are many verses that it says that music was the one of the best way to praise their God. And next is the horn of ram. In the horn of ram, it is used in convene ritual ceremonies. And the horn of ram is also called the shofar or shofar, like that. As long as it sounds shofar. In biblical times, the shofar sound the Sabbath, meaning if somebody blows the horn of ram, it means that the Hebrews should gather to praise the Lord. Yes, that's why. That's why it is the sound of the Sabbath. Next is the Hebrews have no paintings nor sculptures because they are afraid that they would fall into an idolatry. And we all know that before they are very parang grabe silang mag-stick sa paniniwala nila na ayaw nilang magkamali. And we all know that idolatry was a very grave mistake or very mabigat na kasalanan. Ganun. So next is the religion. Next is we go to the Hebrews religion. The Hebrews was a monotheistic religion. It means that monotheistic religion is the belief that there is only one God. And the religion of the ancient Hebrews was Judaism. Judaism is the first monotheistic religion, and Christianity and Islam only follows the idea of Judaism. The Hebrews believed that there was only a one God, which they called as Jehovah or Yahweh. While in the Islam it is Allah. While in Christianity we call it Jesus. And yes, that's the Hebrews believe that there is only one God. That's why they believe also that the creator of all things or the universe or what is on this earth or the galaxy is only one God, which they call Yahweh or Jehovah. So next week. The Hebrews also has the Decalogue. The Decalogue comprised of the Ten Commandments which Jehovah gave to Moses on Mount Sinai. Next is the Hebrews have a religious festivals. First is the Feast of the Passover. The Feast of the Passover was the commemorating the flight from Egypt. It means that ginugunita ang paglaya nila sa kamay ng mga Ehipto. Ginugunita ng mga Israelites ang kanilang paglaya sa mga kamay ng mga Ehipto. And we all know that Egyptians are very cruel to the Israelites. They make them slave because they are they don't want the Israelites to they don't want the Israelites to be parang ayaw nilang mga Israelites na mabuhay na matiwasay kasi gusto nila mga Egyptians na yung paniniwala nila is parang i-inherit din ng mga Israelites. Ganun. So next is the Feast of the Pentecost. The Feast of the Pentecost was primarily a Thanksgiving, but later on it was associated a remembrance of the law of the Lord, of the given of the law of the law given by God. So next is the Feast of Tabernacles. This was to remember the 40-year journey of the Israelites into the wilderness. That's why it is the record of the nomad life in the desert of the Israelites. So next
one is the prophets.
the prophets were the independent man because of their origin in the priest case. The For additional information, the difference between the prophets and the apostle is the prophets they share the gospel generally, while the apostles they are the ones who travel miles to miles just to share the gospel. That's their differences. While the prophets they were acted between the era of schism in the Babylonian. The era of schism was the division of group that have different perception in the doctrine. That was schism. That's what we call schism.
Mhm.
So we will go to the Bible, which is comprised by two, the Old and New Testament. The Old Testament, it deals with the Hebrew history, which we call the which we call the Old Testament, meaning it is the sayings of Abraham or the preach of Abraham. And next is the New Testament, which deals with the life of Jesus, yung pagdating ni Jesus dito sa dito sa mundo para palitan yung mga old na paniniwala natin. And the New Testament was talking about the Gospels and the Acts of the Apostles and the Epistles of Saint John Paul and Saint Peter and the Revelation, which means that this this chapter tells us about what will happen in the future and the dispersion of the Jewish people. The Jewish people was dispersed because the Gentiles or the neighboring countries hate Israel. That's why the Jewish people uh, ran or nagtago sila sa mga iba't ibang sulok ng mundo. Yes.
Next one is the government of the ancient Hebrew civilization. So their government is a combination of tribal federation, monarchy, a priestly theocracy, and ruled by prophets. So during this time, the paper or the responsibilities of the prophets are very important because they are the ones who has a direct communication with the Lord to speak for the people. And when we say priestly theocracy, it is a type of government wherein people consider God as the highest ruler of their society. And the main government of the ancient Hebrew is the monarchy. So again, monarchy is a type of government wherein it is ruled by a royal family and the position is just being passed from generation to generation. So they also have their different phases of the government. Okay, first one we have the patriarchs. So when we say the governance or the leadership of the patriarchs, so the leaders here are the elders, okay, yung mga matatanda. Okay, so all the wisdom, the instruction ay manggagaling sa mga elders. And then the Hebrews divided themselves into tribes, thus forming patriarchal clans which worship only one God, which is the monotheism that was discussed a while ago, accrediting themselves as God's chosen people. And because of this, God would choose certain members of the group in order that the divine plans should be fulfilled. So yun yung paniniwala nila na dahil kabilang sila sa isang tribe, it's because God chose it for them. Okay, and under the patriarchs are first is Abraham. So Abraham is the first of the patriarchs. He was born in the city of Ur in Mesopotamia. Okay, and he is the one who searched for the promised land. What is the promised land? It is the Jerusalem, directing himself with his people towards the desert where Jehovah, okay, binigyan siya ng reward ni Jehovah because of his obedience. And ano yung reward na yon? It is the promise, pinramis niya kay Abraham that the land of Canaan will be possessed by his generation. Next one is we have Jacob. So Jacob has 12 sons. Okay, kaya siya ang naging founder ng 12 tribes of Israel. Kasi yung mga naging pinuno din is his 12 sons. Next one, we have Moses. Moses is the one who received the 10 commandments at Mount Sinai, which is very important ngayon sa bawat religion. Okay, so next one, we have the judges. So the period in which the Hebrews established themselves definitively in Palestine. So they abandon their nomad life and divide themselves into 12 tribes who name the judges as their government. So in this period of time, the Hebrew history, the people fought for consolidation in the promised land so that they can be able to settle themselves permanently and makatira na sila doon sa Canaan. Okay, and the most celebrated or well-known judges during this time is first we have Gideon. So Gideon, he is the fifth judge who appears in the book in the Bible called Judges. And makikita natin si Gideon sa Judges chapter 6 to 8. Okay? So, he is also a man of faith. So, are we a man of faith? So, like Gideon, he is a man of faith. And the name Gideon means destroyer or powerful warrior. That is why God commanded Gideon to destroy Balaam because Balaam is a false god. Okay, next one we have Samson. So Samson is from the tribe of Dan, which represented relentless defense against the Philistines. So ano ang kapangyarihan ni Samson? His long hair. So he has an extraordinary strength linked into his hair. Okay? And nung kinat ito ni Delilah, humina siya. Okay, so using also a jawbone of a donkey, he killed 1,000 of Philistines. Next one, we have Samuel. So Samuel is the last of the judges at the end of the 6th century BC. And he defeated the Philistines, of course. Okay, and he tenaciously combated idolatry and unified the Hebrews who decided to recognize an authority common to all. And he leadeth to form a monarchical state, and the king is Saul. Okay? Ayan. Next one, we have kings. So the kings, this is the period in which the Hebrews were governed by king, arose because the kings has to unify and defend the people against their enemies, the Philistines on the coast and the nomads of the desert. Good. So these are the great kings during the Hebrew civilization. We have Saul. So Saul, okay, he was named king at the request of the people. So gusto talaga siya ng mga tao maging hari because of his personality, and he had a magnificent army which permitted the Hebrews to live in peace and secure their borders. Dahil sa pamamahala ni Saul ay nakaramdam ngayon ng kapayapaan and the people felt safe, which is yun ang aim dapat ng isang leader. Kailangan maramdaman ng mga members mo na that they are safe sa pangangalaga mo. And Saul is also a very brilliant warrior fighting against the Philistines. Next one, we have David. So David, ayan, so sino naman hindi may kilala kay David? So David, using a string and a stone, he defeated the giant Goliath of Philistines. And he also extended his dominions from the Red Sea to the Euphrates, constructed the capital of the kingdom, which was Jerusalem. And he was also considered to be the founder of the Hebrew kingdom, which is the Israel, of course. Next one, we have Solomon. Okay, Solomon is a man of wisdom. Solomon is a man of wisdom, okay, and he ruled with great wisdom, okay, and because of this, nag-prosper ngayon ang commerce between Nile and Mesopotamia, and Palestine being the necessary step for merchants who travel towards these two regions. He also constructed the great Jerusalem temple. Tama? Okay, and he also wrote the integral books in the Bible, the Song of Songs, the Proverbs, and the Ecclesiastes. And after the death of Solomon, he has a son which is Rehoboam. So, ang monarchy kasi dapat, 'di ba, yung anak niya yung susunod na mamumuno, which is Rehoboam. Pero hindi siya naging he did not succeed. That is why the 10 of the 12 tribes chose Jeroboam na siya na lang yung manguna and mag-rule sa kingdom of Israel. Okay? So actually, Jeroboam, okay, is he believed in schism, okay? Na he is not really religious, but he is not really religious. It's just he has a political character. But then God chose him to rule both the kingdoms of Israel. Okay? Next one is we have their political organization. So kung napapansin nyo kanina, ang mga tao, puro sila tribes. Yes, because that is their political organization. They divided themselves into tribes without forming one state. When they were attacked, they would eventually accept one chief called a judge. Okay, so this one, the death of Solomon unleashed a rivalry among the 12 tribes. So nagkaroon din ng kaguluhan, which ended in the division of the kingdom into two different states. So dapat yung 12 tribes is iisa lang sila na state, nahati ngayon dahil sa conflict. And yung dalawang state na yon is, first is the 10 tribes of the north made up the kingdom of Israel. So this is larger and stronger in the capital in Samaria. The second one is the two tribes of the south made up the kingdom of Judah with its capital in Jerusalem. Okay? Ayan. So ngayon mga kababayang hilaw, let's move on to the contributions of the ancient Hebrews.
Okay, so going on forward, let's go to the contributions of the ancient Hebrews. The main contribution and most important thing that the Hebrews contributed was the idea of monotheism. This is the reason why the Christianity and Islam existed nowadays. And we all know that in the present time, Christianity and Islam has a wide population all over the world. Okay. So next is the Torah. Next is the Torah. Next is the Torah. The Torah is the first 5 books of the Hebrews Bible. And the Torah is also the most important document of the Judaism. And the Torah consists of the Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. That's why these books are great in storytelling and enlightening religious works. Yes. And next is the Bible. Although additional information for the Bible, the ancient Hebrews, they used the Bible as their guide in their lives. It is serves as guidance in their lives. Yes. And we go to their moral contributions. First, the Hebrews believe. First, the Hebrews believe. Sorry. First is the Hebrews believe in one God. They are the first one who believe in one God. And next is they are the first to believe in a just God, meaning they believe that Yahweh or Jehovah gives a fairly judgment to every individual in this world. That's why they believe that also every individual in society should act or likewise should be just as well. And that's why they should treat each other fairly, because that is their because that is their belief that their God Jehovah and Yahweh is just God. They give justice fairly. Next is the next me.
Next.
Next is the reasons why the Hebrew civilization was declined, or why did the Hebrew civilization fall? First reason why is the cause. So the cause of declination of the Hebrew civilization first was the destruction of the kingdom of the Jews in the 16th century BC. It generated distinct sects, and these are the Sadducees, Pharisees, and Essenes, and the Zealots. The Hebrews fall because of this, the uprisals of many different beliefs, because the Sadducees, Pharisees, Essenes, and the Zealots have different perception in the doctrine or in the Bible. That's why they did not understand each other, and that's the reason why of their fall. And the next is the diaspora or diaspora or whatever you want to what do we call this? Kung ano ang gusto mong itawag dyan. Basta diaspora or diaspora. In the year 70 AD, the Roman Emperor Titus seized Jerusalem. Many Jews were sold as slaves. Yes, and the rest were expelled from their country. And we all know that well, when Jesus was born, the king was named the King Herod, and King Herod, nabalitaan niyang may isisilang daw napapalis sa kanya na lalaki. That's why that's why King Herod wants to kill all the Israelites, every newborn baby. That's stated in the Bible. That's one of the reason why the Hebrews was was declined, and also because of the Jewish people, because that's why they call the Jewish that's why the Jewish people dispersed all over the world. That's why they call them Jewish people as the vines of the earth, because they were stranded in different parts of the world. We all know that the Jerusalem, or now Israel, is before they Jewish the Jews did not stay in Jerusalem because many of their neighboring countries hate them, and they were they were exiled in the different parts of the world. And then there is one time that they that the UN, or the UN, parang nagblock ang mga UN na bigyan ng mga katarungan yung mga Jewish people na mapasa kanila ang land na. That's why they are in Jerusalem now. That's why the Jews are in the Jerusalem now. And then additional information about the 12 tribes of Israel is, nowadays we cannot recognize or identify the 12 tribe of Israel. Or in short, the 12 tribe of Israel is missing. And meron yung mga haka-haka or humors na nagsasabi, if we identify the 12 tribes of Israel, or we can mahanap na natin sila, many are saying that that it is the end of the world. Yan lang po. And thank you.
Yan. So in addition to the declination, okay, so as I was saying kanina, yung 12 tribes niya, they were divided into two. And because of the division that happened, ayan, so actually nagsimula kasing humina talaga ang Hebrew civilization noong namatay si King Solomon. Because of this, nagkaroon ng division sa 12 tribes, and then nung may mga lumusob na because of the disunity of the tribes, the Hebrews were not able to fight off the invading armies. Okay, so the Israel fell into the hands of Assyrians in 722 BC. Okay, while Judah was conquered by the Babylonians in 586 BC. So Jerusalem's temple was also destroyed by King Nebuchadnezzar, and many Israelites were forced into exile. So during this time, ayan na, captivity na mga kababayan. Okay, so ngayon, doon po ang fall ng Hebrew civilization. Okay, so to wrap up, just remember that in Hebrew civilization, they are one of the most important civilization because their Jewish religion is kinda the same with Christianity, and sa kanila nagsimula because of the 5 books of Torah, okay? The Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and the 2, okay? Doon na tuluyan yung ibang books. And another important contribution nila is the 10 Commandments, okay? Na na-receive ni Moses sa Mount Sinai. Okay, so ayan. Okay po, so that is our report. That is our report about the ancient Hebrew civilization. So thank you so much for listening, everyone, and have a good day. Yes, mga Okay.